Look around a classroom today, and you will see teachers, students, and a third permanent presence sitting alongside them. AI has evolved from a novelty experiment into a built-in co-pilot. If you read the marketing materials from any major ed tech company, you know the pitch. They promise their platform will instantly reclaim hundreds of hours of your nights and weekends. For most educators, that promise clashes with a messy reality. Adopting these tools often leads to feeling buried under a mountain of new software interfaces and entirely new ethical problems that were never covered in your training. This table shows AI shifting labor from mechanical drafting to high-level oversight. In column A, hours spent drafting lessons, grading quizzes, and building slides are disappearing. In column B, recovered hours are spent engineering prompts and managing real-time data. The modern teaching dilemma requires deciding how to effectively trade your manual labor for this new role as a high-level curator. Let's start with where you get the most immediate return on your time, the automation zone. Platforms like Magic School and EduAid can take a few basic curriculum standards and instantly generate a full week's worth of lesson plans, complete with targeted messages to send home to parents. If you have an article or a video that is too advanced for your class, a tool called Diffit will rewrite it to perfectly match your specific student's reading levels in seconds. When it comes to testing, Gradescope handles the grading automatically, processing both paper and digital formats, while calculating exactly which questions tripped up the room. Meanwhile, QuestionWell scans your lesson materials and spits out dozens of targeted questions directly into Kahoot or quizzes. Operating these tools effectively requires a highly specific, complex skill: prompt engineering. Warning tone: if you type a lazy, generic request into these systems, they will hand you back flat, uninspired materials that will put your students to sleep. The output is entirely dependent on the quality of your instructions. You only save time on administrative tasks if you put deliberate effort into mastering the language of the machine. Moving beyond basic planning brings us to the engagement paradox. This is where AI generates highly produced classroom media. With a single click, tools like Gamma and Tome design complete, visually rich slide decks, writing the content and sourcing the images for you. You can use Synthesia to create a multilingual virtual avatar to teach a recorded module, or use 11 Labs to generate hyper-realistic voiceovers for your texts. For students learning English as a second language, or those who struggle with reading comprehension, having access to these natural-sounding audio and visual avatars provides immense value. The risk here is that heavily produced AI-run presentations turn your students into passive consumers, staring blankly at a screen. To combat that passivity, you have to develop a muscle for adaptive instruction. This flowchart maps out how that works in practice. While the immersive lesson plays, you constantly monitor real-time dashboards detailing student comprehension. If the numbers drop, you prepare for the adaptive pivot. You must be willing to stop the beautifully generated presentation and manually override the lesson plan the moment a red flag pops up in your data feed. Highly engaging AI content is ultimately useless without a human teacher actively analyzing the room and steering the ship in real time. Beyond the tools themselves, the 2026 classroom introduces a unique challenge: how students perceive and relate to the AI they use every day. Students are using platforms like Replit AI to code real applications and Canva Magic Studio to build digital campaigns. They have a personalized one-on-one tutor available for every project. Constant, isolated interaction with a machine creates a strange new crisis: AI-imaginary relationships. This chart plots the various AI tools and challenges by effort and workload impact. Because of hyper-personalized tutoring, students are developing deep emotional attachments to their AI bots. Managing those emotional attachments lands in the extreme top right. It represents the most difficult and time-consuming new responsibility you will face. You must act as a psychological guide. When a student retreats into the safety of a chatbot, you have to actively intervene and pull them back toward healthy human-to-human social interactions. This guidance extends to academic integrity. Tools like Turnitin AI now serve primarily to start conversations about the ethical limits of relying on a machine to do your thinking. As the software handles the mechanical delivery of academics, Your primary, non-negotiable role becomes defending your students' emotional well-being and their humanity. The data shows that while AI can provide the raw content for a curriculum, it lacks the human context required to make that content stick. This scorecard breaks down how you should build your tech stack, based entirely on your personal bandwidth and teaching goals. If you are the time-poor educator who desperately needs to reduce administrative hours, look at the first row. Ignore the immersive avatars completely. Spend your limited energy strictly on tools like Diffit and Gradescope so you can reclaim your nights and weekends. If you are the pedagogical optimizer who wants to build the ultimate classroom experience, look at the second row. Invest your hours into mastering platforms like Curipod and Replit AI to facilitate high-end, project-based engagement. The bottom row applies to every single educator, regardless of your technical proficiency. Any time you manage to save by automating your paperwork has to be immediately reallocated into performing adaptive instruction and managing student psychology. For the skeptics and the traditionalists, these new soft skills are exactly where the irreplaceable human connection survives in the modern classroom. The ultimate return on investment for AI in education is clearing away the administrative noise, allowing you to focus entirely on the human elements of teaching that a machine can never replicate.